Hello, friends. Today we're going to learn about credible sources. Choosing credible sources is a big part of being a good digital citizen. So we want to focus on that and make sure that we're choosing the best sources and the most accurate information when we research or find passages or articles that we can use in our text. Now, I showed you here on my presentation a lot of little 90s type graphics. This cool cell phone over here, which is like my very first cell phone. A little GigaPet up here in the top. That is what we used to have. It was like a little electronic pet, super fun. And just some other little 90s type graphics because I want to talk to you about how stories can get spread and changed as they move from place to place. Now, this used to happen in the fifth grade classroom in 1994, and it also happens now on the internet as we find sources and people share information. So, we used to play this thing called the gossip game. Have you ever heard of that? What we would do is that we would get on one side of the room and we would whisper something to someone else, a fact or an opinion or a story or just a sentence, anything. We would whisper it to one person, and that person would whisper it to the next person, and that one to the next person, until it got all the way across the room or around the circle, however we were sitting. And the person at the end would then shout out what they had heard. Most of the time, it was not the same thing that the person said at the very beginning. Because as information travels, it changes. That's how it was in the 90s. That's how it is now in 2021. With the information on the internet, there is so much of it. It is so hard to make sure that you are choosing the correct information and the most accurate information, unless you know some strategies. So, if you know some strategies for how to choose credible sources, then you will be able to determine if online information is credible and accurate. Okay, so let's go forward. All right, here's our essential question, and we're going to deconstruct it. How do I determine if online information is credible? Okay, so we've got some verbs and some nouns in here that we may not understand. So we're going to break those down. I've got them broken down for you here. So determine. Determine means that I show it or I figure it out. Online information, that's articles, videos, anything that you find on the internet that you're going to use in your research or that you're going to share information with others. Okay, and credible, that means it's trustworthy, it's true, it's accurate, it's correct. When someone is credible, that means that we can trust what they say and we can believe that what they say is fact. Okay? All right, so we use the acronym CARS to evaluate our sources. So you're on the internet and you are looking up an article and you find one that looks pretty good. It's not too long. It's one you might want to read. It's got some cool pictures, but you need to evaluate whether or not it's a credible source, if it's one that has accurate information. Now, we know in this land of social media that we do not want to spread inaccurate or false information. So we need to make sure that all of the sources that we use to share information are credible and accurate. Okay, so CARS, C-A-R-S. The C stands for current. When was the source published? Is it up to date? We would want to make sure that our information is not out of date or old. If you were looking up an article on coronavirus and it was from 1999, It might talk about something that dogs have or a coronavirus that would just give a normal cold. It would not, but you would mean for them to find information on the current coronavirus, the COVID-19 pandemic that we are having now. So that's an example of when you will want to make sure that your source is up to date. You usually can find when it was published. If it's an accurate source, it's going to have a date, or it's going to tell when it was published, and that's going to be easy to find. So look for that first to make sure that it is a current article. Okay, the A stands for authority. Who created the source? Can you find more information about them? So authority is, are these people legitimate people? Do they really know what they're talking about? Or are they just spreading false information, not giving accurate facts? If it is someone who has authority and who has the information to write such an article, you should be able to find more information about them. You can Google their name, you can Google the place they work for, you can search for the phone number or the email address and make sure that it is a real person or an accurate authority, someone who knows what they're talking about. Okay, the R stands for reasonableness. So reasonableness is, does this make sense to you? When you're reading the article, if it was that COVID-19, the coronavirus article that I was talking about from possibly 1999, and it was saying this is a virus that dogs are vaccinated against, humans can get it, but it only causes a mild cold. Would that make sense to you? You would be like, what? That doesn't make sense. So it has to be reasonable. You have to know that it's not some silliness that you're spreading on. Okay, S, support. Can you find another source that verifies this information? So just like with the authority and who created it, you need to look for another source that tells the same information. And if it's the same story all the way around, then you know you have accurate information. If one person believes something differently than the masses, then that's usually false information or information that's not verified and that we may not want to spread. Okay? So let's take a look at some examples. Okay, thedogisland.com. All right. Thedogisland.com. So this is a website. Give your dog a chance at a better life. Let's pull up my pen so we can mark some of the things. Give your dog a chance at a better life. Dog Island is the solution to a free and natural life. So then look at this. Recent legislation in several towns has taken the costs of Dog Island out of tax money. So that is an article. Let's read this and see. Okay, so recent legislation. Some very exciting news is happening with recent legislation passed by Dog Island supporters. Please take part of the Direct Action Committee and make a difference for the dogs in your neighborhood. Okay, I'm kind of feeling like that. Let's see, let's go back to this. The reasonableness, does this make sense to you? This does not make sense to, I'm confused about what this is about. Do the dogs live on the island? Do you take your dog there and they never come back? Okay, in Winnipesaukee, New Jersey, there's a mandatory dog exportation bill. Okay, so these are some of the things that I could research. I could go and I could type this in, even copy and paste mandatory dog exportation bill, copy and paste that into Google and see if that's a real thing. Okay. Let's see. I could check out this event here and see if that's an accurate thing. Do you see the name of an author here? So that would be the authority. Do we see the name of an author? Can't find more information about them because we don't even know who wrote it. Okay. So let's click Contact Dog Island. That's always a good thing because then you're going to get some names of some people who you can contact or you can Google to find if it's accurate. So press and media relations is Xiao Mian. I don't know that person. I've never heard of that. That sounds like even just a Chinese name. Growing up in Piexian, I can Google that and see if that's a real place. And if all of this is real, then we'll know this is a credible source. But that's what you have to do is you're kind of confused. You don't know. You've never heard of Dog Island. So that makes you confused and wonder if it is legitimate or a credible source. So this one, I would definitely start typing in some of these things in Google and see if it is a credible source. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay. All right, this one is from the American Academy of Pediatrics. See this? American Academy of Pediatrics. If you have not heard of this, your parents sure have, because most parents, we're always wondering what the doctors are saying, and all of our pediatricians are members of this. So we find this as a very credible source because they are the doctors who treat us and they know what they are talking about. So also look at this, Tricia Koryath, staff writer. It is right there on the top who the author is. So that is an authority. And usually when they write who the author is at the top, they're proud of their authors. Most entities like the American Academy of Pediatrics, they're proud of their people and who write their articles. So it even says that she is a staff writer. So that's up at the top. We can tell who the author is right away. If I Googled her name, it would tell me that she is a staff writer for the American Academy of Pediatrics. Also, when we talk about, is it current? This was written on August 23rd, 2021, which was just a few days ago. So we can tell it's definitely current. Okay, let's get rid of these circles. All right. All right, so is it reasonable? Let's see. Experts address COVID-19 surge in the South, Delta's impact on schools at AAP Town Hall. So the article is about children coming back to school with the new Delta variant of COVID-19. So that is something that makes sense to us because we are currently in the middle of this pandemic and we are the ones who are here masking and distancing and cleaning so that we can stay in school. So it's very reasonable and it's something that we understand and know about. Okay, now if I looked up this same topic, Delta variant in the South, it would say basically these same things, that Alabama has a high rate, school is in session, but They're trying to take as many precautions as they can. So this would be something that I could verify by searching for other articles that are on the same topic. Okay, so those two are good examples. We think that Dog Island is probably not a credible source. Not credible. Because we had so many questions about it. We didn't see the author. Well, we did finally find the author, but it was someone we didn't know if they existed or not. If we Googled them, we probably wouldn't find anything out about them. But then we went to the American Academy of Pediatrics article, and we realized that it was credible. It gave us the author. It was current. It had information that was reasonable, and you could support that by finding ones that were on the same topic. Okay? So when you are doing your unit on text structures and informational writing, you are going to need to make sure that the articles that you choose are from credible sources. So that's why we covered this today. Whoops. Technology at its finest. Okay? So I hope you had fun. I had fun. And I thank you for your participation. Class is dismissed.